I'm here with WunJi. Did I say that right?
You did say WunJi, number 1, letter G. Think of it that way.
WunJi.
Yeah.
As in 1 G-force.
Yes, exactly. 9.8 meters per second is exactly actually what I go by on most forums.
Wow.
Because I'm a huge nerd.
He is the brain behind Dreadnoughts that's coming to, it's yours. It's going to be part of Fusion Core.
Yep. So Fusion Core Studios is a separate company from DreamPod 9, but we are licensing the Heavy Gear property from DreamPod 9 to be able to bring out the Landships game, which we've been wanting to do for a long time, and it's been a part of the lore that's been sort of lightly covered throughout the Heavy Gear history. I mean, the franchise is 20 years old, but we've never really been able to go in depth into it, and it's been a really unique aspect of our game, with hovering ships floating along the ground, carrying giant robots, dropping them off for battle, launching artillery at each other. It's a little slice of science fiction that you really don't see very often in our industry.
So here's a sample.
Here, we got some art here. I'm just going to hold this up, raise this to the lens. There we go. This is a Northern Besieger class landship. You can see it's got a flight deck, huge artillery batteries. We actually have a demo miniature. I think you took some footage of that earlier, so that'll be pictures. You'll have that up there. Our miniatures are currently in 3D modeling in Maya, so we can build those.
You're using Maya?
Well, you're using Maya for the shapeways, for the demo models. That way we can get the physical models and figure out which parts we like, which parts we don't. Especially for things like this, when you're working with small parts like turrets, we want to know whether putting a small turret on there is going to be too small for a customer to really mess with, and whether we want to change and make like a full gun deck, for example, so that they can take it out of the box and assemble it without losing pieces in the carpet. And doing that in shapeways is less expensive than dropping a whole bunch of money on an injection mold and then realizing halfway through that we did it wrong and we had to start from scratch. It's one of the mistakes and one of the lessons we've learned from the previous Heavy Gear Kickstarter, and we like to keep carrying on that experience forward so that we can keep improving our processes. That's going to be some MBA speak for you there.
And to put it in perspective, it's 1/350th scale, right?
Oh no, so the ships are 1/2500th scale.
2500.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't read. 2500.
There was an extra zero. You're right. So the scale itself is actually very close to the scale that's used in modern naval warfare games like Harpoon. They use 1/2400th scale. So there's just some scale compatibility there for display. There's compatibility there if you ever want to use like those tiny little aircraft miniatures. You can use those and put those on the land ship for display. And it's just a nice to be able to pick a standardized scale for something. We like to be able to do that. Same goes for the land ships are 1 scale, but to keep the heavy gears and the tanks and the aircraft reasonably sized for the tabletop, we picked a different scale for those. They'll probably be about 1/500th. So they'll still be small, but they'll be big enough to move around, they'll be big enough to see some detail, and you'll still be able to see that the land ships are big and the tanks and the other vehicles are small, and they'll look okay on the tabletop next to each other, and the land ships will look suitably impressive, we think.
Okay. What else do you want to add to it?
Well, we got
how big of a table is it supposed to use?
We're planning on a 36-inch by 36-inch square, so you can just play either on a standard card table, or if you want to take a 36-inch piece of cardboard, fold it in half and fold it out, there's your game board right there. We'll have standardized pieces of terrain, so everyone can just bring a piece of terrain that represents a city, mountains, forests. You lay them out, there's your terrain all set. You can lay objectives down in those pieces of terrain. Each player can take turns, so no one person gets to control where everything goes. And that way every game is dynamic. You don't have necessarily a preset scenario. You don't necessarily know what you're going to be facing, so you can't do what a lot of players do in a lot of scenario games, where you build sort of the victory army and the standard army that wins everything. You have to build something versatile. You have to make sure that you're ready to face different kinds of strategies and different kinds of terrain and objective setups.
Okay.
So it forces the player, and this is something we want. We want to make sure that the players think strategically and think very carefully about what they want to do before the game and what they want to do during the game.
So for the mechanics of the game, is it going to function similar to Heavy Gear Blitz?
Actually, no, not at all. So this game will function very much differently. Whereas Heavy Gear Blitz, your objective is to rush forward and be decisive. You want to hit your opponent as hard as you can to knock units out one button quickly. In Heavy Gear Blitz, it's more methodical. You've got your ships laid out on your side, your enemy's got their ships, and you've got your objectives, and you don't know what each one's trying to do. So you're moving your ships forward, and you're marshaling your forces and setting up for coordinated attacks. You can't just sort of plink at an enemy ship and expect to do damage. You'll have to send a scout out to make sure that you know exactly where the enemy ship is. You have to send out a couple of gears or some tanks to take out their escort forces. You need to open up their anti-aircraft defenses, and eventually, after doing all those things, then you can send a coordinated airstrike in and hit a vital spot. So the game rewards preparing your forces and getting everything in place before making that strike.
Anything you want to add? They're going to be cool shit, cool fighter planes, bombers.
They're cool fighter planes, cool bombers, all the heavy gear, like iconic heavy gears and tanks. We're just bringing them back in smaller scale, so they'll be recognizable on the table.
I'm not going outside the bottle until after.
That's about it.
That's about it. I think I've covered, the rules. Our goal is to make a nice full box set with two players. Both the North and South factions will be included. Each army is going to play distinctly differently. I want to bring in a lot of the flavor from the old RPG game, where the North has a certain reputation for being steadfast, solid, kind of boring if you listen to the Southern fans, whereas the South has a reputation for being a little more speedy, stealthy, or sneaky if you listen to the Northern fans. The armies themselves will thus appeal to different kinds of players, and then once we start bringing in other factions, we can explore different other aspects of the game. Our plan is to bring in Peace River, New Coal, CEF, and to expand the rule set to include them as well. Well, yeah, we got some ideas for New Coal. There'll also be some neat stuff. Yeah.
It's all good. All right. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bye. Do I stand here until the paint's out?